Shalom to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, the nation of Israel. I want to send a salute to my elders at AOC. I also want to give a shout out and a salute to the elders over at Lions of Israel. I'm Pawar Ben David, accompanied by the brothers of Lions of Israel, Pittsburgh. And it's a thing going on right now with Christianity that's coming out. And it's really a shame that our people are still caught up in the mix. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into a history brief of Christianity, things that can be proven, okay, because many things that come out, they like to say, oh, the Israelites made it up, the Israelites did this and they did that. So being the fact that they do that, I'm not going to go into much of the esoteric or hidden things about Christianity. I'm going to stay straight with the things that's esoteric. Basic history book, basic Google, basic Wikipedia, so forth and so on. So first things first, Prince, could you read John 4:22 for me, please?
John 4:22. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
So Christ said this. He told this woman, he said, ye worship ye know not what. Now this is the problem with our people out here. A lot of our people, they don't understand what they're worshiping. So I'm going to give them a history of the so-called white man around us. Okay, the history of the Israelites. Okay, so the first thing I want to come up to, cue your scriptures to Matthew 2:16. Okay, the first thing I want to come up to is Herod the Great. Okay, Herod the Great was the son of Antipater the Idumean. Okay, when you do research, you know Idumea is an Edomite. That's the kingdom of the Edomites. That's what, okay, so any person that's an Idumean, they're an Edomite. Okay, so Antipater the Idumean was the father of King Herod the Great. Now we're going to see what happened with this white man amongst these Israelites. Read Matthew 2:16.
Matthew 2:16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and all the coasts thereof.
Right, so here now you have a white man in our land, in our country. What does he do? He kills all the little children. Doesn't that sound similar to white people taking our babies and feeding them to the crocodiles? See, so when you have this stuff over here called Christianity is nothing new under the sun. Christianity ain't nothing but an old trick. It's just been broken down in bits and pieces, and the same things that they practice. Okay, the same way Margaret Sanger put Planned Parenthood in the hood or in our neighborhoods for our women to kill our children, it's the same thing. You seeing the death of Israelite children, and you see these coonish Israelites like we had in the days of the Maccabees that joined unto the Greeks, and then later they joined under the Romans. It's the same thing happening today. Okay, so now I want to fast forward because the scriptures tell you about Augustus Caesar, and you know the other Caesars mentioned in the book of Luke. I want to talk about a dude named Nero Caesar. Okay, in 64 AD, Nero Caesar went and blamed Israelites for the burning down of the city of Rome. Okay, and that's when they started to really persecute Israelites. This is in Christian annals. Okay, now this is also in Roman history by Roman historians. Okay, so you have a dude by the name of Tacitus. You have a dude by the name of Eusebius or Eusebius. These are Roman historians that let you know what Nero Caesar did. So around the year 67 AD or 68 AD, because he was killed in 68 AD, Paul was beheaded and Peter was crucified upside down. Okay, so when people talk about, okay, you want to talk about Christ and everything, all you got to do is find the Caesars of his time. You can find history to find out that Christ was alive. Okay, he's recorded in Roman historian annals or annuals. Okay, and Peter, who was the rock of the church of Christianity according to Christ, you are the rock in which I build my church on. That man was assassinated. Okay, he was crucified upside down. Now this is the man that the Catholic Church admits is the first pope. They call him the first pope. Okay, so now we go forward. When we go to the year 70 A.D., we know about the expulsion of Israelites in the year 70 A.D. But what most people don't understand is that what you would call Christianity moved away from Jerusalem because Israelites were not in there no more. The Israelites weren't there no more. So now, when you see this, you also come to the time frame in the period where you see white people who have now taken over the controls. They slowly starting to take over the controls. So one of the cities that they moved to in 70 AD was a city named Alexandria, Egypt. Now we know Alexandria, Egypt is not really Egyptian because that came from Alexander the Greek. The second city that they took over and they built up was called Antioch. Now let's pay attention to the name Antioch. Antioch was built by Seleucus Nicator of the Seleucid Empire. Now here's a man that they had a line of the name Antiochus. Antiochus, these people were wicked men and they were severe enemies of the Hebrew Israelites. Antiochus. Now it was a line. Now why would you find the Israelites in the city of Antioch? What's going on in the city of Antioch, which most people don't know? Turn to Acts 11 and 26. We're going to go to Acts 11 and 26. We're going to see what happens in this city of Antioch. Because this city of Antioch, even though there are Israelites in there, it's predominantly ruled by white people. Read what you got.
Acts 11 and 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church, and taught much people, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch.
They were first called Christians in Antioch. And Christian wasn't a shiny, spiffy name the way it is today. Christianos was a slander word. The smeared ones. It was a racial epithet. So this is why in the city of Antioch, this is the first time you hear about them being called Christians. There's a racial epithet. That's like you living out here somewhere in the city, and then you go to the part of the city that's all white, and they're going to call you nigger out there. They're going to disrespect you out there. Why? Because of the garbage that was started by Nero Caesar in 64 AD. But hold up, it gets more better. Go to Acts 13 and 1.
Acts 13 and 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger.
That was called Niger. He was called nigger in Antioch. So you got to realize a lot of y'all people that call yourselves Christians, y'all don't know history. That's why they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible. Because when you read them Maccabees, you see how Antiochus and all them generals that were underneath Alexander the Greek when he died, those dudes became enemies of the Commonwealth of Israel. They persecuted the children of Israel. They brought pork to the children of Israel. So y'all don't understand about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the fact that we had to fight for our town back, fight for our temple back, and restore our temple. But you in the church talking Christianity, but you don't know about that. If it wasn't for the Maccabees, Christ wouldn't have even been in the temple. Because the Maccabean period is about 200 to 150 years before the time of Christ. Okay? So these are the things that y'all Christians that run around, y'all blabbing and y'all cooning, and y'all want to be down with this white man so much, and you don't even understand what you're worshiping. Now, I'm going to fast forward and give you a little history. In the year 312 AD, Constantine has what they document, according to the Catholic Church, the vision of the cross. He had a vision of a cross, but not just any of a cross, a burning cross. That don't sound familiar? That burning cross is the same emblem that the KKK use today. Mighty strange that the people in the KKK got the same robes like the Baptist Church, but they wear the red and white like the Catholic Church. Huh? So this is what y'all Christians don't realize. Y'all don't know no history. That's why they only give you the New Testament. Because the Old Testament in the Bible, or the Tanakh, is the law, and it's the history and the chronicles of the people, the children of Israel. Likewise, also, the Apocrypha has parts in it. Okay? When you go forward to 431 AD, this is when, and these are tenets of Christianity, because the cross is a tenet of Christianity. When you go to the year 431 AD, that's when they started to announce Mary as the mother of God. They didn't say Christ. Now what happens then? Now they get to the point to where there's no men around. They mention Joseph not nary a time. No more Joseph. No more patriarchal system, except for the Roman Catholics. Now it's just Mary. Now that leads me, I want to go one more thing before I go into a main segment part. But in the year, between the year 1216 AD and 1223 AD, you had the approval of the Dominican order. What is that? The real original Dominicans were an order of the Roman Catholic Church. They were not a people. That's for our brothers and sisters out there that speak the Spanish. Okay? Because Latin is a language, not a nationality. Spanish is a language, not a nationality. Okay? So y'all brothers who speak Spanish, y'all not Spanish. Y'all are still the children of Jacob. Y'all the children of Israel. Okay? But around that time, they approved an order. They approved two. They approved the Franciscan and they approved the Dominican order. And these were beggars. That's what they think about you brothers from the tribe of Simeon, so-called Dominicans. They think y'all ain't worthy of nothing but to be a beggar. Same thing with the Levites out there. That's why y'all got the France and all that. That's the connection with the island of Hispaniola. One have a French connect or Francis connection, and a Franciscan connection, and one have a Dominican connection. Okay, and they were beggars. So when you see these friars with the potato sack, with the rope around their waist, and they bald headed in the middle, that came from the Catholic Church. So now I want to talk about, I'm going to get into a main part. What I want to talk about, I want to fast forward up to the year 1517 AD. This is things, I'm calling the years out because these are the things that are recorded in Catholic Church history, is recorded in Baptist history. All the historical annals of Christianity have these things recorded, so the dates are decided on. These are not my dates. These are the dates that you can go to. In the year 1517, you had a man by the name of Martin Luther, not to be confused with Martin Luther King, who was born Michael King in Selma, Alabama, USA, who changed his name to Martin Luther. Now this Martin Luther was Protestant, and he became the head of the Lutheran Church, and this is the basis of contemporary black Christianity today, Lutheranism. Well, at first I'm going to talk about Martin Luther. In 1517, he was in protest of the Catholic Church. He came out with 95 theses. Now we're going to see what a thesis is. A thesis is a position that's stated or put forward for consideration to be discussed and or proved or maintained against objection. So this is what Christians hold on to against objection. Okay? What was Martin Luther? Martin Luther was a professor of theology. This is why your pastors and them have to go to theologian school. They following Martin Luther. Okay, nowhere in the scriptures could you pay to be a priest. Not in the New Testament, not in the Old Testament. The Spirit of the Lord has to come down on you for you to be a priest. So this is why you got all these preachers that's healing, but they never go in the damn hospital and heal. When you gonna go in the old folks home in Hill? When you gonna go in the burn center in Hill? Why I gotta see these St. Jude commercials on TV with these crippled children? Those are the people that need to be theology. What is theology? Theology is the study and analysis of God and his attributes and their relation to the universe. Okay, that's real science, not theoretical. So when God said be fruitful and multiply, you have many different animals that have a polygynous system, like a lion. One lion of a pride, and he got 8 lionesses. Okay, you sit up there and you see when an elephant gets 2 years old, he must leave he's sexually mature, he gotta leave. When your children get around 18, 20, they get sexually mature, they must leave. See, the laws of God and what he put in the animals, in the Apocrypha, in the book of Job, it tells you that the animals teach us the laws of God. So you can look at the animals and see what God intends. It's not rocket science. That's what real theology is. That's what real theology is supposed to be, but people don't get with that. People don't understand that. So out of the Protestant belief, you had 5 main branches of the Protestants. You had the Episcopal Church, you have the Presbyterian Church, you have the Methodist Church, you have the Lutheran Church, and you have the Baptist Church. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of each one. The Episcopal Church, these were people that came from England. They were mainly English people. The Presbyterian Church was Scottish people. And today they hold many of the members of the Illuminati today, like the Forbes, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers. Their main thing was confession. The Methodist Church was English and Welsh. The Lutheran Church was German and Scandinavian. Okay? So now when you see what people came from what, we'll see. But let's focus on what black people normally into. We normally into Episcopal. That's what them AME churches represent. African Methodist Episcopal Church. So they blended the two churches together now because they was too small. Okay, so here's what the Episcopal Church does. First of all, the Episcopal Church was founded in the year 1607 by the Virginia Company of London. So even the whole state of Virginia is named after a company that owned slaves. The Virginia Company of London in the year 1607 in Jamestown, Virginia, major slave port. Now this Episcopal Church that everybody want to be African Methodist Episcopal, in the year 1976, and they did it in the black church first, they affirmed homosexuality and lesbianism. They said that those were the children of God, and they no longer had to run from the penalty of Leviticus 20 and 13. This is what the Episcopal Church said in 1976. This is your Christianity, y'all black people who don't know what y'all worship. In the year 1974, they started to ordain women as priests. They had a group of women called the Philadelphia 11. These Philadelphia 11 were women that were now called priests. So now you got these elder sisters like Shirley Caesar and all that up there. Now she a priest now. All of a sudden. You're a young woman, you on your period, you still a priest. You're a young woman, you just had a baby, you can't even purify, you're a priest. But according to the scriptures, if a woman have a cycle, she can't go into church. A woman who just had a baby, she can't go into church depending on a boy or a girl. If she had a man child or a woman child. But this is what your Episcopal Church done put forth. And this is recent. This is the garbage that they push on black people. Now let's check out what the Methodist Church teaches. The Methodist Church teaches that Christ died for all humanity. That's what the Methodist Church teach. That's why y'all churches is an African Methodist Episcopal churches, because it's a blending of the two. And then they also teach you that salvation is assured. to everybody. Everybody could receive salvation. So you know your favorite verse. God so loved the world. The world of who? The world of the slave master or the world of the Hebrew Israelite? What was they quoting when they was quoting Christ in that? That's what y'all brothers y'all gotta come to that. Y'all so-called black people. So when you look at that, when you look at the Methodist Church, that came about around 1728. One last one real quick about these different churches before I go back to Martin Luther. The Baptist Church was founded in Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. Okay, so inside of Rhode Island, their capital city is Providence. Okay, now I lived in Providence, so when you go to get a motor vehicle license or anything, the motor vehicle department is called Providence Plantation. And the one that I went to was located on a street called Breakneck Road. Now who neck they breaking on Breakneck Road? That's slaves they killing. A lot of people think only the South had slaves, but the whole New England, Boston, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, which they call the Ocean State, were major slave ports. When you look at the Articles of Confederation, Rhode Island was a slave plantation. The whole damn state was a plantation. That's why the capital city is called Providence Plantations. Okay? So this could be looked up in the Articles of Confederation, which came before the U.S. Constitution. Okay, so in the year 1638, they came out with the Baptist ministry. Huh? All you black Baptists out there. So y'all got to know what y'all worshiping. Now, a quick history lesson. When do the cracker lie and tell you that slavery ended? Because slavery never ended. They tell you slavery ended in 1865 on June 19th. That's why y'all got Juneteenth. But y'all niggas don't even celebrate Juneteenth in the church. Y'all got everything else up there. You got 4th of July, you got Easter, you got Christmas, but you don't got Juneteenth. Because Juneteenth was the day that they lied and said that slavery was abolished. But when you watch a movie, like the movie called 12 Years a Slave, you see that house nigga got caught up and he known what it was like to be a real slave for a couple of years. And the Lord saved him. And then it said he disappeared after that. So 9 times out of 10, they took his ass back or they killed him for telling that story. This 12 Years a Slave was based on a true story. When you look at Birth of a Nation, then you get to understand that these forms of Christianity were made during the slavery era. Because you see how they use Nat Turner. Why would they ban you from reading the Bible if A, you can already read? If you couldn't read, you had to know how to read already. Or when you learn how to read, you would know that you was an Israelite. That's why they banned the Bible from you in the first place. But they gave you a monument, Martin Luther King. And when Martin Luther King tried to break out of the hole they had on him, they killed him. After that, they gave you a monument. And then when he started to rebel, they killed him. Okay? So these are the historical dates that black Christians got to go and research and realize, okay, is this thing that I'm dealing with, is this Christianity, is this Christ-like? Because that's what y'all say Christianity means now. But is it following the tenets of Christ, or is it following the tenets of Paul? That's why most Christianity is Pauline doctrine. Go to 1 Corinthians 1 and 13. Go to 1 Corinthians 1 and 13. Because baptism was valid, but coonery wasn't. Coonery wasn't valid. So we're going to see what Paul has to say.
You said 1 and 13.
1 and 13.
1 Corinthians 1 and 13. Is Christ divided? Was Paul crucified for you? Or were you baptized in the name of Paul?
Hold right there. So the question states, is Christ divided? No. Was Paul crucified for you? No. Was you baptized in the name of Paul? He said no. Now Paul said he did baptize people in his name, but guess who? Go ahead, continue the scripture.
I thank the Most High that I baptized none of you.
He ain't baptized none of y'all out here today. Go ahead.
But Crispus and Gaius.
Crispus and Gaius. Okay? So yeah, that's where you see that famous slave named Crispus Attucks, who the dude in the Boston Tea Party out of everybody out there, this Negro decided to jump in front of the gun and save Master, and Crispus Attucks got his ass shot off out there with the Coonan. Go to Matthew 10 and 24. We're going to see what Christ has to say, because everybody want to roll on Paul, but y'all barely recite anything from Christ. You barely read any of the Gospels in church. You know it. Go ahead.
Matthew 10 and 24. The disciple is not above his master.
Christ said the disciple is not above his master. None of them disciples had the authority to override what Christ said. So y'all got to get that straight. Y'all got to get that straight. Go ahead.
Nor the servant above his Lord.
Nor the servant above his Lord. So if Paul serves Christ, Paul don't have no authority to rearrange what Christ said. That's where y'all twisted at. That's why y'all out here believing that you in the new covenant already. That's why y'all out here believing that you can eat pork and all this other garbage. Huh? Go to John 5 and 47. We're gonna get some more words out of the mouth of Christ. Go to John 5 and 47.
John 5 and 47. But if ye believe not his writings.
Hold on, go back up. Go back up to 45. Salah.
John 5 and 45. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust.
Right, so Christ said, look, I'm not here to accuse y'all of nothing. In other words, here's the thing. The law is already there. So if you're going to fall by it, you're not going to fall by it because of me. I'm trying to get you to keep the law. Go ahead.
For had ye believed Moses, you will have believed me.
So Christ said, look, if you believed in Moses, then you could really say you believe in me. Y'all up here running around talking about the law is dead and all that. Maybe that's why so much homosexuality in the church. Huh? Since the law is dead, turn over your daughters to these little young gangbangers and all that out there so they could grind down on them since the law is dead. That's the problem with y'all. Y'all sat up here and y'all blemish what the Lord put out here, and you let your slave master take the hand of your scrolls and force feed you when your own Bible tell you these things is wrong. So Christ said, had you believed in Moses, you would believe in me. Go ahead.
For he wrote of me.
Because Christ is written of by Moses. Go ahead.
But if ye believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
So Christ said, if you believe not Paul's writings, if you believe not Moses' writings, how could you believe my words? This is why in Proverbs, it tells you that anybody who turns his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. This is why y'all people spend years and years and years on y'all knees praying and ain't nothing happening. Yeah, the Most High will give you mercy because he's your God. You're his children. But you're not living in splendor. You're not getting what you're supposed to get. See, when it boiled down to it, more white people believe in the Bible than black people do. That's the real truth of it. Being that they believe in it, they know what happened in Egypt in the Exodus, so guess what they're going to do? They're going to teach you interracial. They're going to teach you to be a homo. They're going to teach you to eat pork because they know the Lord ain't going to do that. The Lord ain't with that. Meanwhile, while you doing that, they over there being holistic. White boy with 9, 10 children. Huh? Anytime you see one of these little baseball players or hockey players or something like that, what kind of woman he got? He ain't got no black woman. I ain't see Sidney Crosby with no black woman. I ain't see Alexander Ovechkin with no black woman. Huh? I ain't see Matt Damon with no black woman. I don't see Steven Strasburg with no black woman. Huh? What's going on with that? You got this picture from the Dodgers. He pitched so good. He don't got no black woman. None of them. But your people got these other women. They teach you that because they know that the Lord ain't with that. And as long as you in violation, the Lord, he may spare you with brief mercies, but you're not open to the promises of the Most High. White man know what he doing. But y'all don't, because y'all don't read. Reading is fundamental. Okay? So there you have what Christ said, look, if you don't believe in what Moses said, how could you believe me? Let's go back into this dude, Martin Luther. In continuation of talking about Martin Luther, here's something else that people don't realize about this guy named Martin Luther. Martin Luther was also the father of what you call the prosperity teacher. He was the father of prosperity because he taught that salvation could be purchased with money. That's why they sitting up here telling you that as long as you pay tithes, God gonna bless you. But guess what? If you were a rapist, you were put to death. You didn't get a chance to pay that tithe. You were a homo, you were put to death. You wouldn't get a chance to pay that tithe. So how could you pay tithe and you in transgression? Matter of fact, Christ tell you that if you in transgression or in offense to your brother, put your gift down and straighten out your gift with your brother, and then you pay your gift to the Most High. Straighten out your offense with your brother first. So a rapist can't pay tithes. A child molester can't pay tithes. A murderer can't pay tithes. So what is this the church sitting up here telling you that, oh, as long as you pay tithes, God gonna bless you? Like the Most High was a money collector. Especially this money with the faces of the men that's your slave master on it. Like Thomas Jefferson and them dudes was your slave masters. Well, that's what y'all gotta understand that. And then he also taught that salvation was for everybody. Another tenet of black Christianity, and even most Christianity now, is evangelism, which is a prime Protestant staple. Evangelism. Now, evangelism is supposed to be the spreading of the good news. The good news of who? Your slave master or your people? That's why grandma died with her knees scraped up, because she prayed all them years and 98% of them prayers didn't come true. Why? Because the scriptures tell you, anybody who turns their ear from hearing the Lord, their prayer is an abomination.
Con.
So the Lord don't want to hear that mess. But here's the staples. You got one, you got born again. When Christ said, in order to enter the kingdom, you must be born again of spirit and of water. What water? The living water, which is the word, not dunking in water. The living water, like the water in Psalm 23, that's the words of the Most High. That's the water that heal you. That's why Christ said living waters would flow out of your belly. He ain't gonna turn you into no water fountain. He talking about you having the scriptures in your mind and being able to recite that. That's what the new covenant tell you what's gonna happen. The new covenant tell you that the Lord gonna put the law in our heart and in our mind. That's that living water flowing out your belly that Christ was talking about. So for you to be born again, you have to humble yourself like a child and learn again. You have to erase the garbage that the world taught you, erase the garbage that the slave master taught you, and learn the scriptures. Learn your heritage. Learn you a Hebrew Israelite. Every church running around telling you you a Gentile. Are you a natural Gentile or you a spiritual Gentile? Because the spiritual Gentiles are the Israelites that picked up Gentile customs. But the natural Gentiles are the heathen nations that sit over you and rule you. And the same nations that's recorded in Psalm 83 is ruling over you today. This ain't nothing new. Christ didn't come and erase none of the prophecies or none of that. He didn't erase none of that. He came to confirm that and let you know that, yes, this is very real. What King David said, what Jeremiah said, what Isaiah said, what Moses said. This is very real. Two, they have the perversion of biblical authority. Okay, because the real Trinity, for those who want to teach the Trinity, the real Trinity should be the Most High, the Holy Spirit, and Christ. It should be man, woman, and child. And the woman does not represent the family. So that's why when the Most High decided that He gonna let Christ, is like a man letting his son run his affairs. It's not the Holy Spirit. It's not the Trinity. Wouldn't be three men. It's supposed to be masculine, feminine principle, and then that flesh that's born out of that son that's born out of that. Oh, that's what y'all who down deep in the Trinity, that's what y'all don't get. But in the church, y'all have an authority problem because y'all teach that Christ Himself is the Most High, which is wrong. That's false. And then y'all teach Mary, the mother of God, which is false. The Most High don't have no mother. But she was the chosen vessel for the earthly body that belonged to the Son of the Most High. Okay? Another thing that y'all have with that, y'all have a perversion of the gospel. Y'all talk about gospel, and that's with that evangelism, which means good news, but you don't recite no Christ. Y'all don't teach his real birthday or none of that. Y'all teaching Christmas, Nimrod birthday. How do you get 72-hour, 3-day resurrection from Friday to Sunday? How you get that in Christianity? But the Bible got the key to that, but the Lord don't want y'all to see that, because like he told the apostles, he said, look, I'm going to speak to some of them in parables unless I would have to heal them. Some of y'all is not meant for y'all to get healed. It ain't meant for y'all. That's why y'all can't grasp to it. But y'all real sincere people that's in the middle of Christianity, y'all need to ask these questions. Stop being a damn robot in a drone and don't know how to think for yourself. It's a damn shame when Eddie Long was molesting them kids, they kicked them kids out the church before they kicked Eddie Long out the church. He was supposed to have been dead according to the laws of the Most High, then in jail according to American law. But nah, the Most High had to put him to death because y'all was wicked and letting them turn y'all sons into little homos out there. And this is going on in Catholic Church, Baptist Church, Episcopal Church, and everything else. And the last part that I want to say to this is talking about the AME Church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, for you so-called black Christians out there. What do y'all know about the dude named Richard Allen and Absalom Jones? And these two men were house niggers. They were men that were still in slavery. They were house niggers, and they came and got out of slavery from all that preaching and teaching in the name of the slave master, and then they was able. Okay, Absalom Jones used to walk around with a white wig, and he also used to run around, and he was a clerk in a white man's store all the way back in the 1700s. Come on now. If that's not a house nigga, then I don't know what is. If that ain't Steve Harvey or one of them today. Okay, so y'all need to do y'all research with this Christianity and know what y'all worshiping. Know the history of it. Okay? So before I sign off, I want the brother to read it again. John 4 and 22. All the way down, and then read from 22 to 24. Just want that to be read.
John 4 and 22. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
Stop right there. So y'all don't know what y'all worshiping. The Bible tell you about the Israelites from cover to cover. So when you talk about the saints go marching in, this is what y'all need to ask your pastors. Who is a saint according to the Bible? Where are they going to march into? They marching into New Jerusalem. Where's that found in the Bible? That's found in the book of Revelation. Who is it talking about? And y'all talk about the numberless multitude, but guess what? Who are the numberless multitude? Y'all don't even understand who the numberless multitude are. Because the numberless multitude is nothing but Israelites. That's the rest of the 1/3. That's other Israelites. That's all Israelites that came out of these different countries that the Lord gonna have mercy on y'all because y'all was keeping the law, even though your father slept with a white woman. Your mother white, but you still kept the law. So the Lord gonna have mercy on you. Huh? Your mother was a Chinese woman. The Lord gonna have mercy on you because of that you kept the law, and your father was an Israelite. So your pastors need to stop lying. Go down to verse 24.
Verse 24. The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
That's right. So the Most High is a spirit, and everybody that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. It is not of the Spirit of God to run around and be a homosexual. It is not in the Spirit of God to eat pork or none of them type of things like that. So you got to worship him in spirit and truth. And according to the book of Psalms 119 and 142, the Lord is the truth. So you're going to worship him in spirit and truth. You got to worship him according to his laws. You're not going to brown nose the Most High. That's why y'all Negroes still out here with perms and all this other garbage running around out here. That's why y'all still with these curses. And with that, I want to say shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel that are scattered abroad. And be on the lookout for a part 2 to this. Because we got other brethren that's in other forms of Christianity that was not addressed. And from now on today, we're going to start pulling the skirt up on the so-called Christians out here.
Con.
Shalom.